Okay, so I'm gonna start off with the boots. These are my old boots. I literally used these boots for 10 years. I liked them, they were good, but after a couple of years, they were long overdue. They get quite soft. And yeah, I ended up kind of hurting my ankle there a little bit last year because they were just a little too soft. And yeah, they kind of folded a little bit. My ankle rolled in there a little bit. So I ended up upgrading. I'm talking with my buddy Kevin, who's a park rider, who I thought was gonna recommend some soft boots, said go as stiff as you can. So what I ended up getting this year, I said at the beginning of the year, were these Ride Insanos. And these are super, super rigid boots, like close to a ski boot, like as stiff as they can be, tough to get your foot into, but once they're in, they are butter. And the biggest difference I found with these boots compared to these ones was the fact that for the same size, I literally gained an inch, which means I can ride a regular width board since I have like a 10 and a half foot, 10, they're both 10s. An inch shorter in length means I can ride a regular board, and they were phenomenal. I can't say enough good things about them. The only issues I had were like little things like the plastic here, since it's a hard case, would actually kind of get stuck here, but you just have to move it and then use it. The BOA system worked really, really well. Didn't have any issues with that. Super comfortable once they got bed in. They're very similar to like a ski boot where you have to put the time in and get them fit properly when you buy them. But can't say enough good things about these boots. Moving on. This is my regular groomer park board that I was using. I don't have like a soft park board, something I'd like to get maybe in the future. But this is kind of a really nice, stiff, all around, super playful, amazing board, and it looks good. So this is the Brian Iguchi Pro Model board. Regular width on it, it's not a wide board. It's a 159 in length. I'm 6 foot tall, 5'11" 3/4. And yeah, 159 fits me really well. Really enjoy the board. Let's look at the dimensions that I rock on this board. So throughout the whole year, I'm playing with the dimensions. I'm moving my bindings back and forth and up and down, and I'm playing with the angles to see what I like. This is what I ended up with. Just absolutely loving it. And I'll show you what I also do at the end of the season. So at the end of the season, you've probably seen these in some videos too, but I just take some wide masking tape and I take a marker, and I will call this the Brian Iguchi Pro, the bit board, black, if you really want, but that's gonna be it. So I'll show you the dimensions I'm gonna measure so that I can set it up next year the exact same way I have it set up this year. So first thing I do, it's always from the center. So it doesn't matter where it is, I go from center to back, and right here it's 40 centimeters from the back. So I go back to tail, 40 centimeters. So that gets me where this is gonna be. Now I want to figure out what's the center to center width. So what I'm gonna do is measure. You don't actually measure center to center, it's not gonna be that accurate. So what you do is you go to the edge here, right in the center, like I said, to the left side here. And it is 2 feet on the nose, which is about 61 centimeters because I live in Canada. So width is 61 centimeters. And normally that is good enough. If I get those all set up right, it'll work fine, but I like to do the front one as well. So right down the center over the arbor symbol, that is gonna be 44 centimeters. So 44 centimeters. Nose to binding. That's it. Now I'm gonna look at the angles here, because So I really liked it. I thought it was really good. One thing I found this year is the big change I made was I usually have duck feet where it's kind of like way out. This year what I ended up doing is I brought this back foot almost flat. Like it was pretty tight, and I like that a lot better. It was way easier on my knee when you're looking forward and things like that. Not as good for switch, but I got that. So angles here. Each increment's gonna be 3. So I'm 1 past 15 here, so that's 18 degrees that way. So front, 18 degrees. And then the rear is gonna be 1 back of 15 degrees. Next year I would actually try 2 back probably, so that's 12 degrees. Back is 12 degrees. So that's my setup for groomers, park, jumps, and I found it to be a really, really good setup for me and my body style. So I wanna keep that for next year. And that's it, cool. So now that I've got all those numbers taken care of, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take off the bindings. So I have my proper sized Phillips head screwdriver. And I'm gonna take them off. So the bindings are both off. The reason I take off the bindings is because no matter what you do, little bits of water are going to be in there, right? So they're going to be in the inserts, they're going to be surrounding the bolts that are going into the board, and there's physical pressure pulling up on those bolts, on those inserts, and that can actually lead to a little damage to the bottom of your board, right? So taking these off at the end of every season, cleaning them out is awesome. You can put the little screws, or bolts I should say, and washers into like a Ziploc and just tape them to your bindings if you really want. I just leave them in, and the way this binding setup work here from Arbor is I can just put this over top, clip it again, and they're not going to go anywhere. So now I'm just inspecting the board a bit, so I look for inside the inserts. There is a little water in there, even though this board hasn't been ridden in weeks. There's a little bit of water in there, but you can see, even though this board is a few years old, you're not getting that like orange rust spots in here, and it would happen if I left the board in there. The other thing is here, you can't see with the white very well, but if you look at it like where I'm looking at it at an angle here, sometimes you'll see like little divots, little dents. Used to be a bigger problem on lower quality boards and stuff, but people would torque those bolts real tight because they didn't want their bindings coming off, and they would never take them off. They would just stay there, and it's constantly pulling on those inserts. So board's in good shape, bottom's good, edges are good. I just had this one tuned this year. Boom.